Hi and welcome back to my channel. 2022 wasn't the greatest year for horror games, but there are some really good ones, so let's look at them.
Rebecca!
Nightmare Reaper is a fast-paced arcade horror game in the vein of Doom, but with a comic book style. By far one of the most unique horror games this year. Scorn is quite the opposite of Nightmare Reaper. It's slow and can be quite boring at times. It's essentially a walking simulator. Luckily the art direction is amazing, so there's never nothing to look at, even if it's the grossest shit you've ever seen in your life. That's not to say there isn't weapons and enemies to fight though. The closing shift puts you in quite possibly the scariest location possible, the service industry. The closing shift is a Japanese horror where you play a girl doing, well, a closing shift, but she's being stalked. This game really makes you feel like how it would feel to be stalked, and if you don't have anxiety, it will give you anxiety for sure. Nightmare of Decay is another retro-themed horror game that feels a lot like Resident Evil, probably because of the mansion, spiders, and zombies. Never stop making retro horror games, please.
Cruising depth in roughly 40 seconds. Stand by.
Iron Lung is a very short game, but it's a fantastic little horror experience. Your character is the pilot of a tiny submarine going through an ocean of blood on an alien moon. Despite its length, it's gripping, unnerving, and has a brilliant ending.
We're starting to lose radio signal. You'll be at cruising depth soon, so review everything and be careful. You're on your own.
Callisto Protocol didn't have a great start. On PC and even consoles sometimes, the game was a stuttering mess, but it was quickly fixed, but some people won't let it come back from that. My only real complaint is that the combat is one of the most infuriating design choices I've ever experienced, and the story is very mid. Graphics are insane though, and there are plenty of jump out your skin moments. They tried but couldn't quite reach Dead Space's level, but in fairness, that's a very high bar to try and reach.
Can't keep running from what you've done.
Now let's go finish this.
Where I'm enough for me.
Help us and you'll find a home here.
Dying Light 2 is everything a sequel should be. Everything was improved, the map is huge, the soundtrack is considerably better, the parkour is fluid, and I don't remember if the first one had multiple endings, but this one does. The story wasn't great, but that keeps in line with the first game. It deserves its place at 4th just for the incredibly fun gameplay and zombie killing.
A myth.
Make him talk.
Alright, let's do this!
Just like Until Dawn that came before it, The Quarry is one of those movie horror games that is just so relaxing whilst somehow gripping to play and could easily be finished in one sitting. Not to say the game is short because it's not, the acting is great, particularly from David Arquette, but is anyone surprised by that? Dude is a horror legend, I only wish he had been in the game more. The graphics are incredible and the scares tend to use tension as opposed to jump scares, which was nice. If I had to think of a negative, I'd say the endings definitely weren't the best.
It's a creature feature. It's really happening and you're all in it.
This is gonna get a little messy.
"2022 has been great for unique takes on horror, specifically, and Signal AS is the absolute best of them ones. I don't even know how to describe the style of gameplay, so it's a good thing there's gameplay in the background, but I never thought I'd see the style used in horror, even less that it would work this amazingly. It's an experience you absolutely do not want to miss. Games like this need all the support they can get.
It's late, but we just got 3 new cadavers, and no one else can make it in right now. I was hoping you could come in and take care of them.
Bet no one expected an indie game to be my number one. Well, maybe you did, as most indie horror games tend to outclass AAA horror games on the regular somehow. If we're talking what's a better game on a technicality, then Signal AS beats the Mortuary Assistant for sure. But there's no denying that the Mortuary Assistant is by far the game that scared me the most this year. After the first encounter, I didn't want to move my character at all with how nervous I was. It reminded me a lot of Layers of Fear in that way, which is famously the first horror game that made me sweat. The Mortuary Assistant has a terrifying atmosphere, tension that nearly took my head off, great voice acting, and fantastic gameplay that stays fresh through each shift. The Mortuary Assistant is my favourite horror game of the year.
I have my prize.
And that's it. I'll be making my top whatever upcoming horror games for 2023 sometime within the next couple of weeks, so subscribe so you don't miss that. Check out my second channel and my Clips channel too. All the links will be in the description. Goodbye.